Is it worth converting your Glock chambered in 40 Smith & Wesson to 9mm or even 357 SIG in 2024? All right, so you've probably heard this right away. I'm just gonna say, yeah, change out from 40 Smith & Wesson to 9mm. There's just way too many benefits included with a 9mm opposed to a 40 Smith & Wesson caliber. You're looking at more capacity, less recoil. The ballistics aren't really there for an advantage on the 40, and on and on and on, but those are three major ones. Now, when it comes to 357 SIG, the ballistics are there. That's a huge difference in opposed to 9mm. So you're gonna get more impact, velocity, foot-pounds. The benefits there are worth the switch as far as 9mm or 40. 357 SIG has it in every category except for capacity. But again, if you have a Glock type pistol or a Glock clone even like this one, the capacity really shouldn't matter because you can get those 40 Smith & Wesson extra long magazines and man, you're in business, you're ready to go. But let's see how it actually does in a situation like this where you do have a clone. You're gonna switch out the barrel. And again, this is supposed to be 40 Smith & Wesson, so a Glock 22 slide. So this is actually the longer slide with the 19 grip. That's how I get down, that's how I like it. I don't have enormous hands. This works just fine, especially with that magwell here, that flared out magwell. I can hold on to this, it's fantastic. This is the grip that I enjoy. If you like the longer grip, then you do you, that's fine. I can put even the smaller magazines in here, so I've got options. And I can conceal this if I wanted to, which I won't, because even the P365 SIG is more compact than this and can hold the same amount of rounds as a compact Glock, like the Glock 19. And so if I'm going concealed carry, that's probably the option I would go with over a Glock 19. But let's say for duty use, what are you gonna carry? Are you gonna go with the extra capacity and reliability of the 9mm round? Or are you gonna go with the 357 SIG and really be confident that when your projectile hits your target, that target is gonna feel the very impact of that projectile? So let's do some shooting and we'll see if it functions properly. So an easy enough switch out. This is the diamond barrel and you can get this directly from Glock. And this is chambered in 357 SIG. This will just drop right in as a conversion for the Glock 22. So you know how to take down and field strip a Glock. Pretty easy, easy peasy. Take out that old barrel. Put in the new barrel. Put in the spring. Oh well, back in business. All right, so you've got your 357 barrel in there now. And you can use the SIG 357 SIG magazines provided by Glock, or you can just as well use their 40 Smith & Wesson magazines. It works just fine. So we'll try this Liberty ammunition first. This is the Civil Defense, and it is 50 grain, traveling at 2,300 feet per second. Okay, there's 13 rounds here. This thing is going to be screaming out of the barrel at 2,300 feet per second. Look at this guy. That looks mean. Basically neck down 40 into 9mm. So it's got the powder of a 40, I guess you could say, and the projectile of a 9mm. And this is hollow point, and we're going to give it a try. At about 15-20 feet. We'll go with some headshots. All right, it looks like some of these were tapped with the firing pin, but it was about every other shot, and I just think that's because the internals, I need a better firing pin. And that doesn't happen with the 40, and it doesn't happen with the 9mm, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. But I do love this round, so let's check this out. So we went with headshots, and we hit our target with all of the rounds that fired, and it was pretty accurate round. It's screaming out of there. So the ones we did hit looked pretty effective. Who's to say if it's the barrel that's causing these malfunctions, or if it's just the way that it's built now? May need a different firing pin, but this is the titanium firing pin that I have in here. It may fare better with a different spring combination as well. As it stands, it's a great round. Let's try out the other ammo we have. There wasn't any cycling issues necessarily, like nose-up malfunctions or anything like that. It was just those light primer strikes. So let's see if this other ammunition does the trick. So this is the Fort Scott munitions tumble on impact. This stuff is going to do a lot of damage. All right, again, 13 rounds, and this guy's got a pointed nose, not hollow point. This will also be around 30 feet away. That one did have a pretty severe malfunction, so did not eject. That may have just been the spring tension. I noticed the spring was kind of floppy, and this was just kind of hanging there. So I can feel the tension now, so let's try it again. Yeah, there's a ton of these light primer strikes here. Let's just compare it to the 9mm and see if we're having the same issues. All right, 9mm Blazer. We're using the Amend 2 magazine. This fits 18, but I'm using 17 rounds in here. We're also using the Lone Wolf barrel from 40 Smith & Wesson to 9mm. Okay, so the last 2 rounds there was light primer strikes, but the rest fired fine. It may be a compilation of all kinds of things, and that's what you can expect from these Frankenstein builds. Now, if you're putting that diamond barrel in a standard Glock 22, you should be fine. I know that's what I experienced with a police hand-me-down gun. It was a Glock 22, and I put the conversion barrel from 40 Smith & Wesson to 9mm, and I never had any issues. It just seemed to work when that was the only tolerance balancing act that I had to perform. But if you're building it from the ground up, you may run into issues. Is it worth it? The round is worth it. Changing things out in your firearm, especially if you're not just using the firearm to have fun, not worth it.